why is it that you joined OnlyFans, and what can you tell me about that journey so far?
Well, I joined it one because I believe that nudity, there's nothing wrong with nudity or sexuality. I grew up, in an environment where that was kind of like hammered home where there's nothing wrong with nudity. Nudity is normal. So I grew up with like, Playboys strewn around the house. I saw, nudity was a common thing growing up. And so then that brings me to the other reason, which is I really like comic books. I really like Pokemon cards. I'm a collector. I have like my amazing fantasy Spider-Man in this chest right here. Um, and this is like a way for me to, you know, get some income so that I can buy that Pokemon card that I really want.
So
I
what is it
Yeah.
about OnlyFans for you that's more appealing than like typical pornography, or like what we used to think of porn as being?
I love that question because I think that pornography, like even I grew up with this demarcation between like Playboy is not pornography. Like pornography is over here and nudity and Playboy is like that's not what pornography is. So like as progressive as I was still learned to like still taught to like stigmatize whatever pornography is. And I just don't care to do that. Like if people have sex and they make money from it, like cool.
So I know you got married recently, which is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does your wife feel about you posing nude and participating in OnlyFans?
She's like not crazy about me being on OnlyFans. She would rather me not be on OnlyFans, but um, like what's more important to her is me pursuing my dreams or my interests, taking risks. She's always been the person who I can like come back home to at the end of the night and be like, hey, like I love you so much. And having that foundation um is like where all of this, like the OnlyFans or the artistic risks that I take, or OnlyFans is a risk as well.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that, like the fact that she wants me to do that, to pursue what I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And I
And
do the
listen,
same for her.
I was going to say thank you for your honesty, because I think a lot of times there's pressure on anyone in relationships to like, I don't know, do things that only their spouse is like super, super on board with. And sometimes there's interests or passions or whatever that maybe don't necessarily align, but that's the point of a relationship and a marriage, is to sort of have your partner's back, and it's about compromise. So I appreciate your honesty with regard to that subject. And you mentioned that if the shoe were on the other foot, you would be supportive of her being on OnlyFans.
Yeah, of course. If she wanted to do an open relationship, we'll talk about it.
Wow.
Uh, if she wanted to do anything sexual, like that's a conversation that we have no matter what, and we are always having it. I'll just check in and say like, how are you feeling right now? Like, are we monogamous? And she'll say yes, and I'm like, okay, cool. And so yeah, like the shoe is always it always goes both ways, right? I think we grew up like with parents who like maybe the father could stray or the male, it was more acceptable for the male to do whatever they want. That's not, I don't believe in that.
That's really interesting. I wanted to ask how the marriage you saw between your parents affected you, and what your view on marriage and your view on relationships.
Yeah, it was an unconventional marriage because they were separated for like or 13 years and they lived right next door to each other and they cared about each other deeply. But they weren't like together for, like 15 of those years. Like they were just separated. So I don't know. I can't say that it really did. It hasn't helped my marriage. I don't know if it's helped with OnlyFans. Um, because like a consistent like long-term relationship is something that like I'm creating right now. Like
Yeah.
that I didn't have role models. I didn't have that role model.
You don't have to give me a number, but I'm dying to know. So you're obviously you're a writer, you're a creative. you have a lot of different things going on. How lucrative is your OnlyFans in terms of supporting yourself?
Uh, I'm making, well, it's not supporting myself, it's mostly for collecting. But it is a
Okay.
long-term avenue for, like, further financial security. But, like, all of the income right now is going towards Pokemon cards and comic books.
That is amazing.
Thanks. Um, and it's like, you know, it's not going to get me the best Pokemon card, but over the long term, like, it makes a big difference. I'll say that. I don't know how to give it to you without giving a
Okay.
number, but it's like, um, let me is there I can say it in a funny way, which is like, I'll be able to own able to own a Pokemon trophy card very soon.
Okay.
Um, and in a way that, because nobody's gonna know what that means.
Well,
So I'm trying to think
I
of a
have
way
to be
that
totally
people.
honest with you. My husband is a big Pokemon card collector, so I feel like he might be able to decipher what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm trying to convey it to other people, I'll be able to own a really rare Pokemon card in like 6 months.